Wow. Okay.
Lawlers, welcome back to another beginner champ guide. Today we're going to be covering off an absolute nightmare of the top lane. His name is Urgot and he looks like this. Is that not super intimidating? Like, look at this character model. It's absolutely amazing. He's got legs with basically cannons on them, and he's got a massive minigun attached to his right shoulder. So today's guide, we're going to cover off his runes. We're going to talk about his basic items and build. We're going to talk about his abilities and then how you want to loop those abilities for some very easy to execute combos that you can pull off in the lane phase to really start out trading your enemy champions. And then we'll jump into a lane phase against a practice bot just to kind of tie it all together so you guys have an idea of how to execute on all this stuff in lane. Okay, now I've tried to make this guide a few times, admittedly, but it always ends up being too complicated. It's like 35 minutes long, so I'm really going to try and keep it condensed for you guys. We're going to keep it beginner focused. Of course, there's a lot of other nuances that I might not even talk about in his abilities or combos, but that's for you guys to pick up a little bit more if you watch some of the gameplay commentaries that I post with him, or even in your own games as you start to log more and more time playing this champion. But for today's guide, we're going to cover off just the very basic meat and potatoes need to know to jump in and start winning games with this guy as a beginner player on Urgot. Okay, so runes, we're going to have press the attack. It works really well with his W, and we're going to get into all these abilities, don't worry. Triumph, it's really good for 1v2ing as Urgot, which is going to happen a lot as a top laner while you're split pushing or even while you're laning. You're going to want that health boost if you kill someone. Legend Tenacity, so you can't really be slowed down too much, and you can, be that tenacious nightmare in the top lane that just keeps running people down. And then Last Stand, because again, you're going to be probably low health in a lot of team fight scenarios as a frontliner or 1v2 in the side lane or tower diving. Just all really good runes. Okay. Secondary trees, all about durability with Urgot. You're going to run bone plating and overgrowth. Now, items on Urgot. We scale off of health and attack damage. Okay. Attack damage more so across all of our abilities, health more so with the actual range that we look to deal damage. We need some beefiness, we need some tankiness. Okay, so health and attack damage is the name of the game. That means that when you go into your build, after you choose a starting item, we're going to be building attack damage, health based items. Now, starting items, if you're playing a lane, you know you can stomp, you've won that matchup before, you feel confident, go ahead, pick up the Dorn's Blade. It has that attack damage, it has health and Omnivamp, perfect for Urgot's kit. You're against a ranged top laner, you don't feel very confident in your ability to even trade with them, you just want to get last hits and stay sustained as long as possible till level 6 in your first item, pick up the Dorn Shield Star. If it's a lane where you're going to trade a little bit, you expect there to be maybe a kill for you or maybe a kill for the enemy champion, it's kind of going to be a little bit of a back and forth. Go the Corrupting Potion. And as a beginner, I just recommend going the Corrupting Potion in most of your games until you realize whether the matchup is a winning matchup or a losing matchup for you. So we're going to pick up Corrupting Potion. Now, rush item. This is interesting because Urgot actually doesn't rush a mythic item right now. He actually rushes Hullbreaker. So let's add some gold and talk about our core item rush. Hullbreaker gives us 50 attack damage, 400 health, and some base regen with the boarding party passive, which means that ourselves and our larger minions in our wave gain defensive stats and deal more damage to turrets. Okay, so right now in the current patches, Urgot really is better as a split pusher in terms of highest win rate. So you're going to rush Hullbreaker, then you're going to rush plated steel caps, and then lastly, you're going to round out with Titanic Hydra. Again, I know Frostfire Gauntlet's a mythic, and it's even in the recommended items here, but this works better in terms of win rate percentage right now with Urgot. It gives you attack damage, it gives you 500 health, and then all of these are the passives that work well for side laning, 1v1ing and 1v2ing, as opposed to the Frozen Gauntlet, which doesn't give you as much health and doesn't give you attack damage. So Titanic Hydra is going to be our next pickup. That means our core rush is Hullbreaker first, Plated Steel Cap second, Titanic Hydra third. If you get these 3 items by 20 minutes, you are going to have a very fun time, and you're going to be a very big problem for the enemy team. All right, so that's our build, that's our runes. We're going to jump into the river against an enemy dummy unit now, and we're going to talk about our abilities and basic combos. So the passive, Really big part of Urgot's kit, Echoing Flames. Each of his legs basically has a charge on it that if you place that leg in between you and the enemy champion that you're trying to auto attack, it's going to deal more damage. These have a cooldown, so after I use it, you can see that glow, that green glow is gone now. Okay, that means any auto attacks while that leg is in between me and that enemy champion just becomes a regular auto attack, as opposed to if I position this bottom left leg between me and the enemy champion and auto attack, I get that big cone of blast damage. I'll show you that again here. Blast, 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 right? You need to make sure as Urgot you are utilizing the extra damage off of your shotgun knees. It's too big of an opportunity to not use and to leave on the table. You're going to lose trades when you shouldn't if you aren't outputting the damage from these shotgun knees. That means Urgot as a champion, his trading pattern, his auto attack pattern, he likes to circle the enemy champion that he's fighting so you can keep proccing these shotgun legs on Urgot and damaging them. Okay, so keep running in circles generally around the champion that you're trying to trade with. If your legs are green, that means it's go time. Circle them. You should win that trade, all else equal. Okay, now the legs cooldown is quite long early game, 30 seconds per leg. You'll know they're coming up when you see an orange glow start to happen on the leg. Then it turns green and it's ready to go again. As you level up, the cooldown gets lower and lower. Once you're level 18, the cooldown goes all the way down to 2.5 seconds a leg. Okay, so later in the game, it's going to come off cooldown a lot more often. You're going to be able to use that damage output a lot more reliably and consistently and become even stronger. All right, now the first ability you're going to learn in game, and what I feel is actually the true identity of Urgot's trading patterns, is his E. All right, Disdain. This is 4 abilities in one. You get a dash, you get a shield. You can see that green shield and that gray shield on my health bar. Okay, you also get damage. If you land it on a champion, it damages them. And you also get CC because it stuns them and puts them over your shoulder. All right, 4 abilities in one. That is amazing. This ability is so amazing that if you hit it, you should win the trade no matter what. If you miss it, that is a massive part of your kit that now you did not land and can't use. You probably won't win that trade. So as a beginner, understand that your ability to win trades and win lane with Urgot will likely come down to, are you landing your E on the enemy champion and flipping them, or are you missing it, or are you too far away and then you just look silly when you engage and you didn't land anything? Just understand that about his E. But if you landed and you flipped the champion over your back, you know, thumbs up to you. You should have a pretty good chance of winning that trade now. Okay, let's level up a few levels here all the way to 6, then we'll talk about some other abilities. The second ability you want to pick up in lane is your W Purge. When you turn this on, Urgot has a circle around him that he basically now, instead of auto attacking, he fires his chain gun, minigun in non-stop succession. So it just ups your damage output so you don't have to use auto attacks. So again, all you do is you press W, and then it just attacks whoever's closest to him with the chain gun attack. Okay, you can't even auto attack during that animation anymore. The key with this, even as a beginner, we need to understand is it will focus whatever unit is closest to him when you press W. So if there was 2 champions here, or if there was a minion in lane even, it will focus whoever's closest. So we got 2 champs here and a crab. Let's see who it focuses. Okay, that champ because it's closest to me. Now it changes to that champ because it's closest to me. Now back to this guy. If I press it here, okay, it focuses the crab. So whatever enemy unit or targeted unit around me is closest, that is what my W is going to focus. Now there is a way around this, and that is marking an enemy champion by hitting them with one of your other abilities. So either your R, your E, or your Q. If you mark them, then your W always focuses whoever you marked. So if I toss this guy right here over my back, even if this champ is closer to me now, my W will target the person I marked, okay? And the mark lasts for 5 seconds. So before you turn on W, my one big thing for beginners, make sure you have hit that enemy champion with some other ability if you're wanting that W to focus the target champion, okay? You need to flip them and then press W so your W targets them, okay? All right, now let's talk about the Q. third basic ability you're going to learn in lane. This one's pretty easy. Fires out a charge, deals some damage, and slows the enemy champion. Okay, the range isn't huge on it. If you get creative with landing it on the edge of the circle, you can actually move pretty far away and still land it. All right, so have fun experimenting with how far you can actually shoot it. But this basically serves as an opportunity to slow the enemy champion, to deal a little bit of damage, but again, really just mark them for your W. Okay, so you can mark them with your Q, and then that way your W deals damage to whoever's closest. If I put another enemy dummy here just to demonstrate this, if I mark this back dummy with my Q and I press W, as soon as I'm within range of my W, it will hit the marked unit as a priority item. Okay, so there's your basic abilities. We're going to just cover off two very simple trading patterns. And if you want to in the comments, you can say, hey, TiltShades, you forgot about this, you forgot about that. Please go ahead. And if people are reading the comments, they can pick up some extra tips from you guys who have some more in-depth analysis that you might want to add to these trading combos. But my job in this video here is to give you two very easy to execute combos you can take into your gameplay with very clear engaged definitions. Okay. The first one is if you are against a melee champion, so a Darius, for example, a Garen, somebody who has to get in very, very close to deal damage or last hit minions, your combo is going to be E'ing onto them, flipping them, pressing W, and just letting your chain gun do its thing. Okay? You can use the Q at the end of that to slow them and keep the trade going, but really I like to use the Q right after I E. Because Q is a skill shot, you could miss it. But if the enemy champion is stunned, you can't miss it. So you're going to E, Q, and then press W. That's it. That's your trade, okay? E, Q, W into melee champs. I'll show you it again. E, Q where they're going to land, W, and just keep running circles. Again, very important to run circles around this enemy champion. All right, one more time, just for the people who are still a little bit confused, kind of, wait, what's the combo? What am I supposed to do? Land your E. If you miss, you're not doing this combo. You're walking back, you're trying to play safe, okay? You miss it this way, you're not doing the combo. You're out of there. Sorry, excuse me, didn't mean to scare you. Let's just chill out for another 10 seconds till my E's off cooldown. Once you land it though, boom, Q, W, see ya. Done deal. Okay, so E, Q, W into melee champions. If it is a ranged champion, obviously they're going to be far enough away from you and they're going to space properly that you likely won't ever land your E just outright. So what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to fish with Qs to hit them and slow them, and then close that gap with your E once they're slowed and they can't get away, and turn on your W. So into ranged matchups, it will be fishing with Qs and then E, W. Okay? Super simple. Range matchups, gotta land that Q. You missed the Q, you're not doing it. Sorry, excuse me, didn't mean to press that Q there. Let's just chill out for 5-10 seconds again till it's up. Missed you. Nope, my bad. Sorry, excuse me. We're just gonna go back to laning. I'm gonna play very safe. I'm not gonna eat auto attacks. Okay. Oh, oops, I landed it. See you, buddy. E, W. Okay? You land your Qs, you land your E's as Urgot, you're gonna have a fun time. You miss them, you're not going to have a fun time. That's just the way it goes. All right. So those are all the basic combos pre-level 6. When we get our R, our level 6 ability, Fear Beyond Death, this is an execute spell. Okay. So you can shoot it, deal some initial damage. It slows the champion. You have 4 seconds to reactivate it. If you can get the enemy champion below 25% health, you can see that right here with that slight gray bar, and you're going to see it a little bit more once I get them to below execute health. You can press R again in those 4 seconds to basically eat this champion up in your belly. All right, so it can execute them. Really, really strong. Once you execute them, it does a fear to everything else around you for 1.5 seconds, which allows you to become a 1v2 or 1v3 machine. All right. You can see that later as you get more games with him. But we're going to demonstrate how you want to loop this R into your combo. Okay, because a lot of people either use it too early while they're too far away, and then they can't get in with their E close enough or deal enough damage with their W before the recast time expires and they can't execute them, or they use it too late and like the champion's already gone, or they just don't even get to execute in the kill. The way you want to work your R into your 2 combos, right? Whether it's a melee or the ranged champion, those 2 basic combos, is you want to press R before your W. That's it. Just press R before W. We're going to E, Q, R, W, and then reactivate that R again to suck them in. Super, super simple. If we're against that range champion, it doesn't change. You press R before your W again, same thing. We know we have to fish with that Q before ranged all-ins, so we're gonna have to hit a Q. We do that, we E in, we R them while they're stunned and they can't move, so we can't miss our R, and then we suck them in after our W. Okay, guys, I hope that makes this very easy to understand. You have your two combos, okay, melee champions, you have your E, then Q, then W. If you want to throw the R in, just press R before W. Against range champions, you're going to have to fish with those Qs. You're going to have to hit a Q before you can go in and land an E. But if you do get that Q and then you do get that E, just press R before W, same thing. Okay, so that's pretty much it with Urgot. Let's jump into a lane phase now and cover off how to loop all and package all this together and win a lane phase. Okay, so we're queued up in our AI bot game here. We're just going to be running this in basically like a little bit of a practice mode here, sample things out. We're going to go mid lane for the purposes of this because this Cassiopeia bot always runs top, doesn't let me take over top from her. So we're in the mid lane here, but that's going to be fine. We're going to demo all the things you need to know with Urgot that we talked about in the previous aspects of this guide to package it together and have a really good lane phase. So we're running Flash Teleport as our summoner spells, you know, just basically needed summoner spells as a split pusher, pretty stock standard stuff there. We've got the Corrupting Potion because let's just say, you know, beginner Urgot here, not really sure how the lane phase is going to go. I just want some sustain and ability to, you know, beef up my health and mana bar as I trade and get last hits through the lane phase. So we've got that. We're going to pick up our E as our first ability always. That gives us, like we talked about, 4 abilities in one: a dash, shield, some damage, and then also can stun the enemy champion if we hit it. And we're just going to see what the lane phase gives us. If it's against the melee champion and we can land the E, we can do that for a mini trade if we want. If we want to play safer, we can wait for our W and Q to come up to really engage and land that full combo early on. So here, I'm not going to shove the wave too much. Your shotgun knees can really put you in weird spots where you're always shoved under the enemy turret. So if you can, just, you know, use your range advantage if you're against the melee champion. Hit them with some autos if you want. Focus down those last hits, get the gold from them. If you see an opportunity to land that E, go for it, and then just trade with them. Make sure you move in a circle around those enemy champions so you can activate those shotgun knees and deal some more damage. Just missed out on a kill there, likely because I didn't hit them with all of my shotgun knees, and you can see right off the bat, you know, some already advanced abilities that you can focus in on with Urgot and mechanics in terms of landing those W's and E's in a certain way. So we're going to activate our W now to just shove this wave in. Makes it really easy. You don't have to worry about last hitting so hard with Urgot. And then you can focus down turrets. You know, Urgot loves hitting turrets as a split pusher, so you can always look for that plate gold early if you manage to force someone out of lane like we just did there. Or you can get a recall off base and spend some gold. We don't really have a lot of gold right now to spend. That Udyr backed off pretty quick. So we're just going to chill here. We're going to let this wave kind of bounce back out at us, and then we're going to go for an all-in trade against this guy. Now, because he's a melee champion, we want to look for that EQW trade. So what that's going to look like here, you're going to E him, you're going to Q where he lands, you're going to press W, and you're going to start walking in circles around this man. We can chunk him for 50% of his health bar there. Really, really easy with that type of a trade combo, okay? So again, just really make sure you're trading the right way. You land that E, you land that Q, and then you land that W, okay? So here, same kind of thing. We're going to go in, we're going to E once we can flip him, land the Q, and then activate W. In this case, we're just going to stay in front of him here, and we get the kill. Guys, again, it is vital to make sure you mark them with your E or your Q before you press W, or you are not going to get all of the damage output from that W focused on that enemy champion. It's going to target whoever's closest. So just make sure you press that Q or E onto that champion before you look for a big, big trade with that W, okay? All right, we're maxing W as our first basic skill because the damage output is really, really good, and eventually once you get max points on it, you don't even have to turn it off. So here we E them, we follow up with that Q right away, and now I'm just going to keep running them down, kiting here forward. If we can get the kill, I don't know if we can, just miss out on it there. Okay, so we chunked them out again. Now we can really just shove this wave by turning on our W. You can hit some units with the Q too. Auto attacks are a little bit clunky on Urgot, which is why you want to make sure that you're maxing out the W for that damage too. Now that we've pushed them here, we're going to recall to base and try and buy towards our first major rush item, which is going to be the Hullbreaker. So here we have enough damage for Phage, so we're going to pick Phage up. We don't really have enough money for anything else, so we're going to walk back to lane. You know, using teleport early game pre-10 minutes, or pre-14 minutes, sorry, you can teleport to a structure, so if we want to get back to lane, here we can just walk back in and save teleport for, you know, a later use if we wanted to. But still, trading combo doesn't change here. We still don't have our R yet, so we're not going to work that into our next trade. What we're going to look for here is an EQW trade again, if he lets us. If he plays too safe, we can land that Q to initiate, but I don't think he is. He's going to probably walk straight up, land that EQW, and then just again try and walk circles around him so that you can kill him. You can see how powerful that is once you get a little bit of damage items in your kit. Okay, here again, you can turn your W on to hit the tower as long as it's the closest thing to you. As you can see, the minions are closer, so it was targeting the minions. Again, a little bit of a weird interaction that if you're not used to it, you look pretty silly when you turn on your W, and instead of getting the tower plate, you just hit minions. So just make sure if you activate your W, you're standing right next to that turret, so it's the closest targetable option for your W to hit. And then here again, if we wanted to try and now execute a tower dive to show a tower dive here, we're just going to add in the R before we press W. So it's going to be E, Q, W. We missed the E. Like we talked about before, when you miss the E, it's see you later. We're going to wait for that E to come off cooldown, then we'll try it again. Okay? Could we take this guy without E? Probably, but I'm just trying to show you guys the very basic fundamental trading patterns. E, Q, R, W. Okay? E, Q, R while he's stunned, then press W, press R again when he's on 25% health, eat him up. Okay? Super, super easy. Now, because we're playing split push again, we're maxing out that W. We're going to just press W here to shove this wave so we can get to tower and take plates and rush even closer to our damage turret split pushing item, the Hullbreaker. Okay? So here we go. Because there's no units, you can press W and it targets the turret now. Again, just make sure you're super close to that turret so it targets. Doesn't unfortunately activate our shotgun knees, but it does still give us that increased damage, that DPS on auto attacks. Okay, even without the R here, you can probably execute a turret dive, E, Q, W, and just use those shotgun knees, deal tons of damage, okay? It's actually pretty easy to turret dive if you're ahead with Urgot because of the shield on the E. It really does give you a lot of flexibility to jump in there, take some damage, and really not be at any risk of dying. So here again, we're just going to wait for our Q to come off cooldown. Then we're probably going to dive this guy here. So we're going to E, and then Q, W if he gives us the chance. You can see he's playing safer now. If that continues in this lane phase here, I'm just going to lead the combo with my Q and then go into my EW. So we'll try it here if he gets really close. He's playing extremely safe though. Probably can't get a turret dive on him quite yet. So we'll just kind of chill out for a second here. If he gets close, we'll look to get in for that E, Q, W trade. If not, we'll have two waves kind of stacking here in a second, and then we'll try a big dive with two waves under the turret. Okay, maxing that E out second. Here we go. So we're stacking up two waves here. We're going to shove this in as fast as we can, and then we're going to look for a dive on them under turret so you guys can see how to tower dive. Again, you just walk up to them really calmly. You press your E, you press your Q, you press your W. Because our ult's back up, we just added in before we press W. E, Q, R, W. Suck them back up with the R. No problem. Okay? Should be pretty safe for most of those dives. So that's how the lane phase is going to go most of the time. I think we have enough gold now to buy our Hullbreaker. It's not too expensive of an item, so if you get a couple kills like we've done right now in lane phase, you can actually get this item by the 10-minute mark, and you're going to be really, really powerful. You're going to rush those plated steel caps as a second item if we can. We're just going to burn teleport here just so we can, you know, use it and show you guys how you might want to use it to rush back into lane phase, for example, and keep your shoves going. Okay, now with this Hullbreaker, if there's no ally champions around us here, we're going to deal more damage to towers, and we're going to have a little bit more survivability with some defensive stats. So here we're just going to press the W. We're going to use our shotgun legs to deal area of effect damage to these champions, or sorry, to these minions. Use your Q if you want to. And then once I get this guy at dive range again, because of my defensive stats now, I can just E him, He's going to run away. Okay, so here I'm going to choose not to just because I have no minions here. We'll just wait for another minion wave to do that dive, or maybe even my R. If he doesn't step up, that's cool. We can just land a Q maybe and try and hit him with it. Doesn't look like he's even going to give us that opportunity. So let's just show you guys the power here of Hullbreaker once we dive this guy and maybe kill him. So here, E, Q, R, W. We didn't have the R, so we're just going to use our W here. Even though we took a bunch of tower shots, we're still winning that trade, and now we can turn our attention to this tower and get more plates. Again, turn that W off if there's minions around, so you can target that tower down. And then champ's gone out of lane, push with your W. All right, guys, we'll take this turret down here. Again, we can leave our W on non-stop now because there's 5 points in it. So you can just use this to rip turrets down really, really fast with your Hullbreaker. And you just move around the map and do this all the time as Urgot. You just keep taking down objectives. If they send one person at you, you dive them or you kill them. If they send two, hopefully you're strong enough to kill them as well like that. Again, put the R on now and just suck them back up. You just move around the map and keep doing stuff like that. You took down a couple towers in one lane, move to another lane, keep it going. Move to another lane, keep it going. When your R is up, go ahead and look for some of those flashy executes and team fights by flanking. But that's the nuts and bolts of this. Again, I know this was one of the longer champion guides. If you stuck around to the end, congrats. All the best in your Urgot games. I'll catch you guys in the next one.